come in with Hydreigon, and we need the switch timer to come up to catch this move onto the Marowak. It's actually an Earthquake as well, and now we have Trevenant aligned onto Hydreigon. What is going on, everyone? Ox here with another video. If you're new to the channel, we do upload Pokemon Go content mostly related to PvP, and if you're a returning subscriber like Ayush Singh, thank you for the support. In today's video, we are taking a look at some battles in the Open Great League. These battles will be featuring Hydreigon with its new exclusive move, Brutal Swing. Hydreigon is a very spicy Pokemon, especially when you consider that it maxes out at around level 15 for the Great League, but it is going to have some pretty good matchups against a lot of the ghost types in this meta, so it's not completely useless, and when paired around the right team, it could actually be quite useful. Now, when talking about the right team to build around Hydreigon, this is definitely not it. Shadow Alolan Marowak in the lead is going to provide some coverage for the fighting and fairy type weakness. However, it's still going to be very weak to Pokemon such as Scrafty and Obstagoon. Shadow Gliscor will help to offset some of those weaknesses, but introduce a bunch more at the same time. This is definitely a spice team, but should make for some exciting battles. If you enjoy this type of content, please consider leaving a like and a comment down below. It really helps the channel grow. And without any further ado, let's jump into the first battle right now. So jumping into this battle, we are actually 0-2 using a different team. I then switched it to this team, and as you can see, there are a lot of threats, multiple weaknesses throughout. This is a spice team, and it is not recommended. However, we will see how it does. Kicking things off here with a positive lead, Shadow Marowak into Defense Deoxys. The opponent is going to swap out into a Lickitung, and I take a second before swapping out here because I realize I don't have a great answer to Lickitung on this team. I decided to come in with the Shadow Gliscor. It probably would have made more sense to come in with the Hydreigon instead, since it doesn't have a great matchup against Defense Deoxys running counter, but either way, none of these three Pokemon will be able to defeat Lickitung in the two shields, so at this point we need to start brainstorming ideas as to how we are going to get past this Lickitung and put ourselves in a position to win this match. Basically, at this point, my main focus is to force the second shield from the opponent, and they are now in a position to guarantee switch advantage by shielding up this next Night Slash, at which point we are going to swap out into the Alolan Marowak, and the opponent comes in with a Scrafty. They're probably feeling slick, but third degree burns will make that go away quick. Bang, there it is. Fire Blast, taking them by surprise, giving the opponent some of those Billie Eilish ocean eyes. And if Lickitung comes back in, Marowak will be setting up for the complete sweep of this team. Hydreigon would actually have a tough time against Deoxys in the back, but in this particular case, Marowak doing the heavy lifting like LeBron James playing with Westbrook on the Lakers. Only difference is this team won, the Lakers would have still lost. So in that previous battle, we saw a good example of how winning the lead doesn't mean too much with this team, because oftentimes we do not have an answer for the safe switch. This time we see a Skarmory in the lead, but a Azumarill safe switch is something we did not prepare for. Oli Soulshire Tactics 101, build a team without any thought and just pray for the best. Azumarill is a threat to our entire team, so we are going to lose our best answer to Skarmory by staying in here. But in addition to losing our best answer to Skarmory, we are also giving up a shield advantage in order to make this Azumarill matchup somewhat playable for this team. So once Marowak is taken out, we will come in with the Gliscor, wing attack down, and see what the opponent wants to do. At this point, we don't have a great answer to Skarmory, so things are going to be looking pretty rough from this point forward. After throwing a couple of Night Slashes at this Skarmory, I think at some point we will need to try and catch a Sky Attack onto Hydreigon, but I think at this point Hydreigon is pretty much nothing more than an extra shield, a very glassy Pokemon, and as you're about to see, Sky Attack deals a huge chunk of damage, and just to add insult to injury, they have a Medicham in the back, so this game is pretty much over. At this point there really isn't a win con, but if there was one, it would be to call the Power Up Punch bait here. Opponent goes for the Ice Punch, and that is going to be overkill. A perfect example right here of just how important team building is for the Go Battle League. Being triple weak to a Pokemon as common as Azumarill is definitely a losing recipe. Alolan Marowak into Alolan Grimer. This is definitely not the type of lead you want to see. We are going to swap out into Gliscor. If I was trying to catch a crunch, it probably would have made more sense to swap out into Hydreigon, but they come in with a Medicham, so I guess in this particular scenario, coming in with Gliscor ended up being a lot better. Ice Punch will KO, but I am willing to take the chance that this is only a power-up punch bait. Not surprisingly, it is the Ice Punch. This is fine because now Alolan Marowak could come back in. This will allow us to build up to 2 Shadow Bones, able to get off this first one before the Medicham reaches a potential Psychic, and now the Alolan Grimer will come back in. Unfortunately, we do lose CMP tie. This will force our first shield, but because Marowak does have access to Bone Club, the Grimer is likely to use a shield in return, and we swap out to Hydreigon, getting met by a Defense Deoxys in the back. This is not looking too good. Going to reach this Brutal Swing first, that's going to deal a lot of damage, and the opponent is aggressively trying to commit to a complete counter down. They get nervous right at the end, throwing energy. Potential win con has been found. Marowak able to take Deoxys out before another move comes through, and from here the win con is to Fire Spin down before this Alolan Grimer can reach 2 crunches. Able to do it. Shadow Alolan Marowak once again clutching out the win, showing that it is the crux of this team. 2-1 in those 3 battles, salvaging the 2-3 set from the earlier 0-2 before switching to this team. Let's see if we could keep that momentum rolling in set number 2. So despite the spiciness of this team, we were still able to pull off some wins in that first set of battles, and hopefully we could carry that momentum through into this next set, and this time we are going to be met with once again another positive lead, this time in the form of Medicham. The opponent swaps out into Sableye, and this is where we make a mistake, coming in with the Shadow Gliscor instead of the Hydreigon. This is one matchup in particular where Hydreigon actually has a very solid matchup, and considering the lead Pokemon was a Medicham, it would have made a lot more sense to come in here with the Hydreigon, and now because Hydreigon would have such a poor matchup against the Medicham, we are forced to play for switch, which means we will have to use both of our shields. From here, Gliscor will reach this Night Slash, going to fall just short of the knockout, Sableye hanging on with 1 HP, and swap out into the last thing we wanted to see. We are going to build up as close as possible to the Earthquake before swapping out into the Marowak, hopefully catch an Ice Beam or a Play Rough, and of course, they're running Hydro Pump. Shadow Gliscor not able to reach that Earthquake, but even in a make-believe fantasy where that Earthquake would be enough to take out a Azumarill, Hydreigon would have absolutely no answer for that Medicham left in the back, surprisingly able to tank an Ice Beam and trying to reach a Flash Cannon for Science, but not able to do it. That was embarrassing. GG, let's hop into the next one. Alright, so jumping into this next battle, we are leading Shadow Alolan Marowak into a Skarmory. This is a great lead to see, but if there is one thing we have learned from this video thus far, no lead is a safe lead for this team. Decided to overfarm by 1 in case they tried catching this Shadow Bone for resisted damage, but they decide to shield up instead. We are going to match shields, and with the opponent choosing to stay in this matchup, it is very likely that they have a second Pokemon also weak to Marowak in the back. Going for a second Shadow Bone right here, and the opponent decides to let that one go through. They come in with a Hitmontop, which is definitely not an answer to Alolan Marowak. Looking to force the final shield with another Shadow Bone, and then look to swap out into the Shadow Gliscor, getting the defense drop as well, and it is a Shadow Blossom in the back. At this point, the opponent has completely given up, giving us their best impression of Manchester United last season, and Gliscor could finish this right now. A little pump fake with the top left, just to make sure it's not lag, and you better believe we are going to give this Hydreigon its moment to shine, waiting out this entire switch clock until it's available to come in. Would not be surprised to see Hitmontop counter us down first, but we are going for the Flash Cannon, and then I realize we're not going to make it. I get sad for about 2.3 seconds before finishing off the job with Dragon Breath. Let's hop into the next one. So jumping into this next battle, we are leading Shadow Alolan Marowak into one of the worst leads we could see. Obstagoon. So obviously not an easy matchup right here. We can tank one Night Slash, but I decide to shield the first one. At this point, the only real way to win this is by building up to the Fire Blast, tanking one Night Slash, and praying that they do not shield the Fire Blast. But instead, I go for the Shadow Bone. They decide not to shield, going for another Night Slash. We let that go through, and of course, they get the attack boost. Going for another Shadow Bone right here. This does nothing, but it does get the shield. I now swap out into the Shadow Gliscor, and that boosted Night Slash is doing a lot of damage. Taking out about 50% of our HP, I contemplate farming all the way down, but decide to throw this Night Slash on what I anticipated to potentially be a CMP tie. Opponent comes in with the Nidoqueen. We are going to throw a Night Slash right here, and unlike the opponent, we get the boost when it doesn't matter, as we're going down to a Poison Jab. From here, Hydreigon will come in, and as you could see, these Poison Jabs plus Poison Fang is actually dealing a lot of damage right here. As a result, we are going to be forced to shield up this second Poison Fang coming from the Nidoqueen. From here, it did not look like we would be able to Dragon Breath down, so just going for the Brutal Swing, that's going to take out the Nidoqueen. Looking to instantly swap out, and it's actually a Trevenant in the back. The reason I wanted to swap out immediately was because of the defense drop to Hydreigon from those Poison Fangs, and even in a good matchup against Trevenant, because of that defense drop, I think we would end up losing this match regardless, even if we did stay in with Hydreigon. So jumping into this next battle, we are going to be leading Shadow Alolan Marowak into another Core Breaker Shadow Swampert. We are forced to swap out into another Pokemon which also loses to Swampert, and from here there doesn't really seem to be a win con for this particular matchup. Swampert is going to win CMP tie against the Gliscor, so I'm going for the Night Slashes right here, just looking to get Swampert as low as possible in HP. As you could see, we end up CMP tying on the next Night Slash. Knowing that we do lose CMP, I should be going for the extra wing attack instead. That's probably one of the only ways to flip this matchup, but Shadow Swampert is a monster, and it is going to outpace us to these Hydro Cannons and take us out. We are in a very rough spot. From here, Hydreigon will come in and look to Dragon Breath all the way down. Able to do it, opponent brings in the Stunfisk. We swap out immediately into the Alolan Marowak, and it looks like they might have stopped tapping for a split second. Lag in our favor, we take those. Shadow Bone coming through, and they swap out into Trevenant, which means we are going to outpace to this Shadow Bone. This should be enough to take out the Trevenant. Bang! There it is. Stunfisk comes back in. Rock Slide will take us out, but here comes Hydreigon, able to reach this Brutal Swing, and it is a beautiful thing. Hydreigon finally making its presence felt, taking out the Stunfisk. Let's hop into the next one. So here we go, jumping into the 5th battle of this set. 2-2, can we salvage the 3-2 positive set? Shadow Alolan Marowak into Trevenant. The opponent swaps out to Galarian Stunfisk. And as we've seen, the trend in this video is not having an answer to the safe switch. Alolan Marowak, as a result, is forced to stay in this matchup. And unfortunately for us, this is a losing one for Marowak. Going for the Shadow Bone, and we get the defense drop. This is huge and could definitely affect the way this game is played out. Using our second shield on the Rock Slide and another Shadow Bone coming through, we now swap out into Gliscor, and we desperately need to outpace to this Night Slash. Because of the defense drop, this should be enough to take out the Stunfisk. And yes, it is. That is a huge win, but this Swampert in the back is a huge shot to the gut. Hydro Cannon coming through, able to survive with 1 HP and a dream. This Night Slash is clutch. The only negative here is that this Swampert will now get 3 mud shots because of resisted damage. And at this point, we are working against the clock. Need to wait out this switch timer, come in with Hydreigon, and we need the switch timer to come up to catch this move onto the Marowak. It's actually an Earthquake as well, and now we have Trevenant aligned onto Hydreigon. One of the best scenarios possible. Brutal swing coming through, taking it out. Hydreigon trying to farm down the Swampert, able to do it. Absolutely brilliant performance by Hydreigon to close out this video. It took until the final battle, but Hydreigon finally proving its worth in the Great League. I think Hydreigon definitely has some play as a specialist, but you certainly will want to build a better team around it. If you enjoyed this video, please consider leaving a like and a comment down below. And if you'd like to see more content like this, consider subscribing. Thanks for watching.